Accucare Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine in Brick, New Jersey offers a state-of-the-art facility with all the best and current treatments. With athletic trainers, massage therapists, and doctors of physical therapy, Accucare has everything you need to stay healthy and perform at the highest level. Cupping, stretching, laser therapy, compression boots, and a full-body cryo chamber are just some of what you can expect at Accucare. Check out their website and social media links in my bio. No prescription is needed to see them. So call them today and start feeling and performing at your best. Again, thank you to Accucare for sponsoring the Shore Football Report. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Accucare High School Football Preview Show, Monmouth County edition, presented by the Shore Football Report. Today, we will talk Middletown South Eagle football with longtime head coach Steve Anucci. Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
Awesome, man. A lot of stuff to talk about. But first, I want to talk about us, the Shore Football Report. Very proud. I added people to the team. I call it the Dream Team. We now have a title sponsor in Accucare and Brick, physical therapy and sports medicine. She is awesome, Pam Anthony, the owner and founder of that place. Awesome. She won me over with her vision of Shore football, and she's a big fan of everybody and wants to blend more into each program. Coach, you know well as I do, you like your athletes healthy, right?
Oh, no doubt. They can't help you if they can't be on the field.
Yes, and I know you have an outstanding trainer in your place that's been with you for a long time, and it sure helps having people to deal with the athletes and educate them in terms of their body and mental aspects of stuff, right?
No doubt. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah. So she's going to be with us. We got a lot of things in planning for the whole year, and we'll talk more about her as the year goes on. But definitely, big fan of the Shore Conference is Accucare, and I'm very proud to be associated with them. The other one was Scott Stump is back, the outstanding writer. He loves his pen. He loves to write. He was at the All Shore Classic, and he got it back. He got his juices back, and I'm excited to be in partner with him too. And I think that will be all right. I like to talk. He likes to write. Opposites attract. I just got to get him wearing Hawaiian shirts. I don't know if I could do that, but Coach, he's done many games of you in the past, and I know you're familiar with Scott.
No, excited to have him back. I've always appreciated his work. He's great at his at his skill, and it's exciting to see him back on the sidelines.
Yep. So you're going to get a guy with full. He's all in. He's all in with that. Now about you. This segment I like to talk about is your resume, but we talked about your resume in great deal last year. But I'm just going to review it, and then I want to talk about something that happened this summer. I thought it was really awesome. So I'll talk about that in a second. But Coach, 206 wins and 206 wins. You just got your milestone last year. Who did you get that 200th win against?
Jackson Memorial.
Yeah,
at home. It was a special night, really was.
It was special.
Just a tremendous effort by our kids, our staff. Great opportunity, for us. It was great. My family, my wife being there, my kids. My kids actually were at school, but I had a little FaceTime with them after the game. Really just a great moment, honestly. And I can't thank the kids and the program and the school, enough for the opportunity to even get there.
It goes by real quick in your head who to thank because when you say 200 wins, there's a lot of players, a lot of community people, of course, your family, a lot of highs and lows getting to
Oh
that
yeah.
point. But I remember after the game, you had so much people around you, and that made you feel pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah, it was special. Like I said, the family part of it, with my wife and my children. But like you said, the former players, there were so many that were there, and even after the game, going up the hill, going down the hill, just seeing faces, recognizing, people who had played, back in '98 when I first started coaching, and just to sit and listen to some of the stories, and rehash some of the great moments that we all shared. It was really special, it really was. And we went out afterwards. A lot of those guys came out with us. It was just a really good night. It was very special.
Yep. I mean, and during those 200 wins you've had, or in between, you had 6 state championships. And I know you can't separate one from the other because you love all your teams. And I'm never ever going to ask you who was the best player, who was the best team, because I already know what the answer would be. But, Coach, winning those state championships were something special for not only you, but for the community, right?
No doubt. Middletown is a very unique place. As you know, we have the two high schools. There's a lot of animosity between the two high schools.
Mhm.
And it's a great town. The kids are the kids, though. Whether they're from Middletown North or Middletown South, they get along great. Except for the times when they're on the competitive courts or fields, whatever it is
Right.
that they're on. But it is special. Middletown, has been the only place I've really ever known. I was fortunate to get a job early. I did work at a couple other places, Keyport and Homedale, but I've been here now. This will be my 25th season as the head coach. This will be my 30th year in the district. So it's I kid with people a lot. I go to work every day. I like my job. I love my job.
Yeah.
The kids at Middletown South, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't replace them, change them for anything. It's just a really good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely love where you're at, and they love you too. Here's what I wanted to talk about during this part was, not your 6 state championships, not your 206 wins at Middletown South, um, but the All Shore Classic. You were the head coach, which is a big honor to be representing Monmouth County, and you get to select your coaches. You picked your staff of Middletown South, all the former coaches on one on the sideline for probably the first and last time, right?
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
I want Rich Mosca, who started the program. He was with me a week and a half before. He was so gun ho about it. Keith Comboforo was there. John Andel, Bob Generelli, who was juiced up and excited to be on the side. I love when a Bob Generelli's excited because he's been out of the game for a couple years and all that. And of course yourself. So, uh, talk to me about why you did that. What made you think about doing it and getting all those guys to go? How was it experience? How was the experience being with everybody on the sidelines?
We talked earlier. History is important. It's important for any program. And when you have a program like ours, and there's only been really 5 head coaches in the program, I felt like it was an opportunity for me to get us all together, just to really sit back and appreciate what we've done, what we have, what we had, the future of our program as we move forward. It was exciting for me. It really was. I mean, when people ask me about Middletown South football, obviously people they look at my history, everything that's gone on here, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as Rich Mosca. I look at it as Keith Comaforo, John Andel, Bob Generelli. I mean, when you talk about those names and those guys, they're all legends, in one way or another. I mean, Rich Mosca has coached up and down the Shore Conference. He's been a head coach at the collegiate level, an assistant level, an assistant at the college level. He was honored at the game, as somebody who's just been legendary in just in just football, and that's special. When your life is about this game and you've impacted it so much. That was important for me to have him there, and he was right away. He was one of the first guys to get back to me,
Mm-hmm.
and then Keith was my mentor. Keith, I worked for Keith, and I was fortunate to work for him. He's a very, thorough, knowledgeable football man, and I when I look back at, where I learned and a lot of the things that we still do, in terms of our practices and the structures of things and how we go about our business. I got a lot of that from him, and he was just that kind of person, and I felt I was honored to coach for him. I was even more honored that he accepted to do this, because he's a unique individual, and we talked a little bit about this earlier. He told us all that he had created or he invented social distancing 30 years ago, so he's a unique man. He was the one question mark I had about coming here, because the other guys are all local. He's in Florida now, he's retired, and knowing his history of just not really wanting to be social in the limelight, that kind of thing, I thought, it would be real hard to get him here. But I mean, he texted me right back. His son told me a great story. His oldest son, Keith Jr., was sitting right next to him when they got the text. And, Keith flashed the phone to him and said, hey, look at this. What do you think I should do? And the son said, you'd be absolutely ridiculous not to go do that. And it was awesome. Like, they both showed up. His two sons showed up at the game. Mm-hmm. They showed up at practice. The youngest guy, we used to call him Kicker. His name is Christopher. I didn't recognize. I started to introduce myself to him when we walked into the office until I realized who he was. I was like, "Oh my God!" And I literally, he was 9, maybe 8 years old at the time. When I was first working with Keith, I hadn't seen him since, and he's gone on. He's a principal in a DC school. He's going back for his master's to try to get a superintendent. It's just just a great story, just great people. John Andel, I had an opportunity to work with. He was part of Keith's staff a little bit towards. He moved into administration in Middletown, so he couldn't really coach on staff as far as being a paid coach. He was a volunteer. Got to see him in action, work for them a little bit. He was another influential guy to me personally, just watching how he goes. Very high, high character, very high energy coach. If you ever watch John Andel coach, you get all of John Andel all the time. And that's a great asset and a great thing to get from a coach. Obviously, he's had success at Middletown South. He was at Colts Neck for a little while. He's been at Rumson. He's just a great mind to bounce things off of. Always one of those guys, and this as well as anybody. When you're on the sidelines and you're just listening to chaos in your headphones, there's a voice that you're listening to. John's that guy, And right now for me, it's a guy named Matt Walsh, but he's the guy that I hear all the other voices, but there's only one voice I really want to hear, and that's the one that's telling me to do the right thing. That's John. And then the other guy obviously is, the general, man. And when you talk about Bob Generelli, you have to talk about legends, man. This guy was a 2-time, state champion here at Middletown South, went to Raritan, resurrected a program there, won a state championship there. When you talk football with Bob Generelli, you better be on your game, because Bob Generelli is always on his game, and he's as knowledgeable as anybody I've known. He was at North Carolina, obviously, with Mac Brown, did a stint there as a GA. Was fortunate to come back to us. So we're unfortunate. I think he was obviously looking to take that next step, and it just didn't work out for him. But what a tremendous honor for me to have him on staff, just to talk X's and O's, and talk about blocking schemes and, and all the different things that we were working on during the week. But tremendous. The staff was great. They were so appreciative to see one another again, and spend some time with one another. We actually went out a couple nights. We did Salty Whale here in Manasquan, and we went out another night, and just listening to the conversations, the camaraderie between all of them, it was special. It really was special. And then I included my staff. My staff was awesome. We have a lot of former players that all played for some of those guys, including myself. So they got a treat from the whole experience as well. My son was on staff, which was awesome. My oldest son. So for me, it was what more could I ask for? It really was.
Man, it sounds like you had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good, and we won the game.
And you won the game.
That was important.
I tell you what, Coach, when you step aside and take a couple of steps back, you're going to realize that was 5 legends that coached at Middletown South and had their moment in an All-Star Classic game. That was special, really special.
It sure was.
Awesome.
Sure was.
A lot of great memories there, and you created great memories in that game too, because you did win. You did win the game.
Yes.
Now, all those coaches and your coaching staff, did you find it difficult to coach? Because now the game's squeezed a little. What do you have, 3 practices? And then you go
right? 5. Yeah,
5.
We went Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, game Wednesday. But we didn't go long, Coach. It was 2 hours every day. It's a little easier when you have kids playing one side of the ball. You can get done what you need to get done. It's not like a typical high school practice where you're dragging a kid from one side of the ball to the other side. Got to add an extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes to a period so that the kid gets an understanding of what's going on.
Yep.
In that kind of setting, when you're coaching all-stars, you're almost getting that college experience, where you're special teams, you're getting those in when you need to get them in. Offense is doing their things, defense doing their things. You come together for a little while, mix it up, and then you go home, and hopefully you get a good day's work in.
Yeah, definitely was a great showing for the game. I always throw away the score because watching the game, seeing everybody in the stands, and it's just a
Yeah.
great experience. On the field and off the field.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. It was packed. The kids enjoyed it, and they were great kids. I tip my hat to all those kids. We practiced early Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nobody missed practice. They were there every day. They worked hard. They played hard. They got to know one another. It was really neat to have them in our place too. Just to kind of, and they got the same thing we were just talking about. They got a little bit of a history of Middletown South. Not just from the guys that were coaching, but being in our team room, practicing on our field. Just the experience of the whole thing. I think a lot of those guys truly appreciated it.
When you step down 20 years from now, you better make sure that you coach in this All-Star game when somebody asks you to come back. Hopefully we can get 5 and the next guy all together. That would be another great scene too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, Coach, I'm going to just take that off. No more mask, no more COVID, and no more pod talk. Let's talk normal, getting back to normal, because we all are happy that we don't have to do those temp checks anymore. But those poor kids, let's talk about your senior class. They haven't had a normal off-season workout in 2 years. So after their freshman football season, they haven't been able to see a progression of what it would be like to, hey, this is what a normal offseason looks like. So you had to reteach. I mean, you are the most consistent program around, winning every year. Now you had to reteach your offseason to a bunch of guys that just haven't seen it for 2 years. Walk us down what is a normal offseason at Middletown South with you.
So it all starts, honestly, we were fortunate throughout COVID or over COVID to hire a strength coach, something I had been working on for a long time. We hired Zach Evanesh, who is our strength coach, and he was fantastic, honestly. He didn't need a weight room. He needed just, kids to be kids. He wanted to do body workouts. He wanted to do what we're doing right now in terms of Zoom meetings, get these kids moving, get them active, talk about diets, talk about, foods that they can put in their body that are going to make them stronger, and then obviously try and make them stronger any way that he possibly could. So from that standpoint, we had that going for us, but it's not the same. Like you said, it's not being in the weight room every day. It's not being, doing the routine every day that you get used to. When the last football game ends, if you're lucky in December, maybe you give them a week or so off, or a couple of weeks off before you get back into it. And that's kind of, like you said, for the first time when we left the field at Irvington on the night that we lost in the final, things were kind of put into effect, to normalcy. We're getting back to where things are what they used to be. So again, we're fortunate enough to have Zach. We told him, and he and I had a conversation. We were going to take a couple of weeks off, let these guys heal a little bit. Mm-hmm. Some of these guys are going to go wrestle. Some are going to go play basketball. Some are going to go play winter track, do whatever it is that they do. But the nucleus of guys that are football guys are going to get themselves back in the weight room after Christmas break. And that's usually, and I think that's kind of, for everybody. You come home from Christmas break, and you're starting your lifting program for the winter with the guys that you can. If you're fortunate enough, and I'm a big believer in this. If you have multiple sport athletes, that's great. That's awesome for you. Like, that makes you a better program. And mm-hmm. I'm all for that, man. That to me is an important piece of this puzzle that I think a lot of people don't understand. You can be a football guy. But my thing is too, you can be a baseball guy and a basketball guy, but all of them require certain things, and if you're strictly just going to be one of those guys, if you're a baseball guy, you better be really good at it, and you better be able to hit 500 in high school, because if you're not, you're just another guy, and as far as I'm concerned, so if you're a multi-sport guy, then, you make time for all these different things that you can do. And it makes us, and it makes every program better, not just mine, baseball, basketball, whatever program you're involved, it just makes you multifaceted. So from that standpoint, that's my 2 cents on that. But, our weight room kicks off in January, and our kids were able to get back in there. We have a set time for those guys to get in there. Zach's awesome. The workouts are anywhere between 45 and 50 minutes. He is tremendous in terms of, conditioning the kids as well as getting them to work out, and get stronger. We've been fortunate in the little bit of time that we've had him. He's only been with us for 4 years, to start to see changes in our kids, like physical changes. Like when you see Rumson and you see RBC and you see some of these teams who have had strength coaches for several years, they have a different look to them. It's kind of intimidating a little bit when you see some of these kids because they're put together very well. And our kids are starting to get that same look. Manasquan's getting that thing. They have a strength coach there too. You see their kids; they're different looking. They look like they, they look like men. And it's impressive to watch them, take these steps and grow. So our guys will hit the weight room January, through the end of the school year in June. And then we like to in June, and a lot of schools are doing this too. We do like what we call a mini camp. When the last baseball game is played, which is the opportunity for you to be able to actually get together with your kids and do something on the field, 7-on-7 start, all that good stuff. So we take 4 days every spring and we intro offense and defense. And with our returning guys and our new guys. We invite our freshmen there. They can't participate, but they can watch just to get an idea as to what they're getting into, really make a decision on whether or not they want to or not. But it's a great period of time for us. And then we roll that into the past couple of years. We've been doing 7-on-7s. I'm not a huge fan of them, but we've been doing them because I think it is advantageous to our receivers, our quarterbacks, our defensive backs, our linebackers to understand drops and to understand routes and reading progressions and all that stuff from a quarterback standpoint. So there are benefits to it, and there are things that I don't like about it, but it is what it is. So we'll do that. We did 2 of those this year with 3 other teams. We did them on a Wednesday night. They were great. We were fortunate to get through them. The other thing that I worry about is somebody getting hurt in them. So we got through them. Nobody got hurt, which was great. And then we lift. We lift 3 days a week. We're a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday lift team, but we also hit the field on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. For an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Offensive emphasis one day, defensive emphasis another day, special teams on the third day, and we'll continue, to just kind of get where we need to go so that on August 10th, when we hit the field at 6:30 in the morning, we're not, trying to install stuff. We're trying to just move forward, and trying to get ready for first scrimmage. First game always is what you have in the back of your mind. The scrimmages to me or whatever they are, you're trying to evaluate kids, trying to see which kids can play for you, not play for you. But the bottom line is, as well as I do, you want to win week 1, and that's what you're really preparing for. So that's our summer in a nutshell. I gave the kids off this week. They're home this week. I think it's from a mental standpoint. I'm not going to go to Middletown this week. I need some time off and just ramp up a little bit. August 10th, like I said, we'll be there at 6 a.m. We'll be on the field at 6:30, and it becomes a 6-day-a-week gig, until December, hopefully, and hopefully it ends up, with a championship.
Yeah, nice. I do like when you give off that week, let them refuel, charge the battery, get them going.
Yeah.
Because you want it.
We've all been there. I mean, we got out of school June, whatever it was, 24th. We've been there every week since then. It's not like I haven't gone up there. So, it was time. It was time to take some time off, let these kids just be kids and relax a little bit.
I love 7-on-7s. I do. I throw the ball a lot and all that. But you said a key word. You don't like the injuries. And I was always known for never throwing 4 verticals because I don't trust the hashes on fields that you're playing on 7-on-7s. Maybe the field's squeezed a little bit. All of a sudden, it's not 53 yards. It's more 44 yards. So the spacing's bad or run digs.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, 7-on-7s, they make you feel good. There's no sacks. There's no sacks and all that. But, you guys like the pads on better at Middletown South.
We do like the pads. I like the pads. Yeah. Makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah. Coach, that's a great take with your normal off season. Hopefully we never have any more distractions in life like we had the last 2 years, right?
Let's put that behind us, way behind us.
Coach, let's hear who's on your coaching staff for this season.
All right, so basically same old, honestly, and that's been one of our, benefits, as far as consistency is concerned. I believe that we are where we are and we are who we are because of that. But we'll start with Al Bigos. Al Bigos is going to be our offensive line coach. Last year he stepped down from the defensive coordinator job to see some more of his son play. His son's playing at Monmouth University. We're all taking that transition, making moves. So it was best that Al, kind of took this situation. Last year he coached our linebackers. This year he's moving over to offensive line because we lost Nick Trezza to administration. So we're in a good spot though. Al played offensive line at Maine, and obviously he's been with me this whole ride. So I have the utmost confidence in everything that he'll be able to do for us. So Joe Trezza is going to be our offensive coordinator. He's moving from our defensive backs and running back coach to the offensive coordinator. He's been an offensive coordinator before. He was the head coach of Middletown North, also the offensive coordinator at Homedale for a year. So we're excited to have his thoughts and ideas come in. He and I are going to work hand in hand together, on game plans and from the offensive side of the ball. So so far so good. Everything's been great. We talked a little bit earlier about 7-on-7s. Kids are getting the terminology down, understanding the philosophy. So we're in good shape there. Mark Tomo will step in. I shouldn't say step in. We'll take his second year as our defensive coordinator. Did a tremendous job last year. If you watched us play last year, we were very solid on defense. Our defense was kind of what kept us in all these games. We played in some tight games last year, and we're fortunate to win some games late, win a couple games in overtime. But his work ethic is second to no one. He's a knowledgeable guy. It was a smooth transition for us, between him and Al, like we talked about earlier. But he'll continue to do that for us, and excited to have those guys back. Steve Roberts is still with us, been with us probably second longest tenure next to Al. He's our special teams and our linebacker coach. Tremendous coach, good person. We were talking a little bit before about loyalty and all that stuff. This guy he's top notch. Man, there's not too many better than that. So excited to have him back into the mix as well. And then we have some other guys that have been with us for a little while. Rod Murchie he was our freshman coach for about 13 years. Was a former player of mine. He's now coaching our receivers, and he'll be working with our defensive backs. So he's kind of flip-flopping with Joe Trezza a little bit, taking over the spots that Joe had as Joe takes over the coordinating spot. But Rod's great, played at Springfield. He's, one of those guys I was very concerned when we lost him as the freshman coach a year ago, because that, to me, that's like the best job. It's one of the most important jobs in your program, because, he's the guy that brings the guys in and hopefully keeps them in. And but we've been fortunate. We've replaced him with another former player who I'll talk about in a little bit. But Rod will take on that role that we just talked about there. We have a couple of volunteers that have been with us for a few years. Matt Walsh Sr. is our quarterback coach. His son was a former player for us, won a state championship for us as a quarterback. Matt is tremendous. He's that guy I was talking about a little bit earlier, that calming voice in your head when things are going crazy on the sideline. But a tremendous asset to our staff. Good friend of John Andel and a lot of those guys that we talked about earlier, as far as the old Middletown South crew. But tremendous man, just does a great job for us. Tim Heedy is coming back. He's a former player for us. He's going to coach our defensive line. He's tremendous. He was an All-American at Wagner. He was an All-Shore, All-State player for us here. Excited to have him back. He's just in a little bit of time he's been here, just listening to the guys that he's been coaching come off the field, and the comments that they're saying about having him there is tremendous. I'm looking forward to having him around and having him be a huge part of our program. And doing the things that he's done for us over time. We have another volunteer, Sam Dokas. He's a teacher over at Thompson. He was at Bernardsville for a bunch of years, kind of like a sideline coach. He teaches here in Middletown and lives close by, so he was kind of looking to make it a little shorter commute for himself. He's going to help us kind of be like a quality control guy on defense for us. But excited to have him. He's going to be a big part of our huddle and our sideline and all that good stuff. Tuck Isherwood is another one of our volunteers. He's a teacher in the building, retired lawyer. He's a Latin teacher who's a tremendous, tremendous guy, graduate of Princeton. I think I talked a little bit about him last year. Love this guy, really do. He's just one of those, salt of the earth guys, just good human being. He'll be our quality control on offense. He'll do the, whatever it is that we need to do from that standpoint. Kevin Higgins, who's a former player for us, is going to coach linebackers with us as well. He played linebacker, was an all-shore, all-state kid, was on the 2015, 2016 teams. He's also a strength and conditioning coach. He has his own business, so he kind of fills in the blanks where our strength and conditioning coach that we do have on staff, when he can't do it, Kev will end up doing some of those things for us. I did talk a little bit about Zach Evanesh earlier, who's our strength and conditioning coach. Tremendous asset to our program. Took a lot of time to finally get him here, but he's here, and we're starting to see, like I said earlier, the results of his work. He's a very knowledgeable man, and really excited to have him on staff. So I'm looking forward to that. We're bringing in Adam Schreck. He'll be a volunteer as well. He's a former player at Manasquan. Played with my older son Tom. Was a All-State. all conference state champion at Manasquan. Went to Susquehanna University, played football and baseball there. Uh, Breaking into the teaching field, is going to be a para, and wants to coach. And I was excited to have him come aboard. I mean, he's excited. He's a sponge. He wants to learn.
Mhm.
He's impressive. I don't know if you know Adam or not. He's like 6'6", long hair. The kids love him. He's tremendous. So excited to have him back. Jeff Martin's going to take over our freshman program. He's a former player for us as well. When I got to South in '94, he was our running back. He was our featured running back. What a tremendous player. Just, in the lineage of running backs that we've had, Jeff is probably one of those guys you don't really hear much about, but he had 2 tremendous years, over 1,000 yards. Just a big, strong kid. But excited to have him running our program. He's excited about doing it. The transition from moving Murchie out and Martin in was perfect. So we're still in a good situation down there as far as that goes. The other guy that's on our staff is Tom Nichols, he'll be the assistant freshman coach. He's a guidance counselor over at Thompson Middle School, former player, played nose guard for us on 2 state championship teams. Just a quality guy, great guy to have around your staff. Just took a couple years off actually, and started a family, and then had the itch to get back into the game. So we were very excited to get him back into the game. So I don't think I left anybody out. I think that's it. But it's a great group of guys, good staff.
I love this sport. Talking to all you coaches, I always take notes when I'm writing, like it's college. But you everything you talk about is always about the kids. Everything's about the kids. It's obvious, and you surround them with some loyal assistants,
Yeah.
with consistency. That's huge. Those kids take their heads off the pillow every morning. They know not only yourself, but probably 95% of the staff is going to be back. And there's some
Yeah.
turnover here or there, but
Yeah.
that is huge.
Yeah.
My question to you, though, Coach, my question to you is this. From the outside in, I'm watching you guys. You really have craziness on the sidelines? I thought it was only at Barnegat when I was there. So you got people screaming, yelling.
I'd like to be the staff that doesn't. Because there's sometimes, and this, being under those headphones on a Friday night. Sometimes I turn the volume down.
Yeah.
Sometimes I take them off or whatever.
Yeah.
I've learned, and one of the things I learned from the guys that we coached in the game with Keith was one of those guys. Obviously you don't want to take your headphones off in a timeout because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
But I've learned that there are ways to kind of just quell the noise when you can. But you always have that one voice, that one guy,
Yeah.
and that's the guy I listen to most.
It's amazing how much dialogue is going on in the game. And if you're in the sidelines, you just hear all this stuff. But to the kids, they're focused on that, to this, to that. It's amazing how the game of football with the communication, it's just really nice to see from the sidelines, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, and like you said, the kids, what they see is you. Like they see the head football coach, and they want to know what his demeanor is. Mm-hmm. And I try, look, there's times when I get heated, but I try to make sure that I'm as, straight-faced and as fluid as I can possibly be, because I don't want my reaction to reflect on them, because they've done an important job to do. And my job is more important as far as making sure that, they're staying on track.
Well, your assistant coaches make your job a lot easier. And also,
yes, they do.
And makes the player's job more enjoyable and successful, which is obvious because what you've done throughout those years. Coach, here's your schedule. To the left, a tough one as it is, and I know that's all you want to play. It's a tough competition. And to the right is what I call the SEC division, and I want to talk about that after you give me some input on your 2022 football schedule. So let's hear a little bit about your schedule.
No rest for the weary, right? It's week in, week out, no doubt. There's some impressive teams there. Teams that have won multiple state championships, teams who are in the top 10 pretty much consistently year in, year out. Teams that have tremendous players and tremendous coaches. It's always going to be a challenge week to week. Long Branch with a new coach, but the other program, Wall as well, but a new but a familiar face there. But definitely a challenge. I think I told one of the press people that it was a meat grinder. It will certainly be that, week in and week out. Depth is going to be a key for us if we can develop some and be able to get some guys to give us some moments where we can get some of our key players a blow when we need to. And then obviously staying healthy, that'll be the biggest part of something like this, because when you're playing teams of this caliber week in and week out, it's going to definitely have a toll on you and your kids, as you're going through the weeks.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your division, coach, I mean, you're playing not even one, but you're playing two parochials. So you're getting what the state now is giving you, a double multiplier. Have you really looked into what a double multiplier actually looks like now?
I don't. I mean, I was on that board, so I do know it. But I never, the fact that you're saying that right now is the first time I actually really thought about it.
Right?
So yeah, it's demanding, no doubt. And we could be one of those teams that when we get there, and we will get there,
Mhm.
we could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because of who we played and where we've been. Before we get there.
Get some relief just going to play in the playoffs. I'm looking at your schedule. Say, where is your relief? Oh, it's week one in the playoffs. I'm saying it joking around, but
Yeah,
I mean, really, every
yeah,
one of those teams in your division have the
yeah.
same expectations as yourself and your staff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
No, and quality coaches. I mean, every one of those guys are solid people, and have history, and it's definitely a challenge.
I gave five different people the list of teams in the American division. I said, give me your input. Tell me how they're going to finish first to sixth. Not one of them was the same. They were like,
Yeah,
oh my God, I feel
yeah,
like I'm insulting somebody putting them at six. But someone's got to be six.
yeah,
Someone's going to be one. I mean, it's just a black and blue division. Here's my question to you. Do you miss the A South, B South, the A North, the B North? Do you miss that? Or do you like the mixture of divisions every year?
In some ways, I do miss that. I do miss the rivalries that we created. I mean, obviously, we still have Mid-Alp in our schedule, and that's a great rivalry for
Mm-hmm.
us. The Howells and the Marlboros and the Freehold Townships. That the A North was the A North. It was still considered one of the best conferences in the Shore.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the bigger schools. But it's Mid North being in there as well. But this scheduling here. Without me getting too deep into it,
Mm-hmm.
I get what we're trying to do to some degree. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't want to get into the non-public public thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a situation where the other four teams in this league, like you said, we all have we all have dreams of the same thing, and not that we can't get there. It's just going to be a little harder. Having to do some of the things that we'll have to do to get there. And especially when you're given a non-conference schedule that's just as challenging.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm looking at your schedule and you might say, hey, the last week before the state playoffs, let's kind of like tone it down a little bit. You can't. You just
Yeah,
you
we got to
just
go to
can't.
Donovan Catholic and play down there.
Yeah, you can't. You wouldn't survive if you did that. But looking on the other side, toward looking at your program, they're saying the same thing. Every one of these coaches, when they come on, they're saying the same thing. They're just adding you to the mix because they're talking about you as an opponent now. So sometimes you
Yeah,
don't see yourself the same way, but I mean, you guys are just as scary, and people were going, "Oh my God, they're on our schedule." When I was at Barnegat, the first thing I would look at is Middletown South on our schedule? Whew, thank God, no. So yeah, you created that hysteria with other coaches, Coach.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Coach, tell us what you're running scheme wise, offensively, defensively.
Offensively, we're a spread. We're spread offense. We're gonna RPO you. We're gonna run some inside outside zone. We're gonna run some power like everybody else does. We'll run some quarterback run game. We'll mix up the pass game, some play action, some quick game, and whatever else we can throw in there. Some screens. And then defensively, we're a 3-4. We switched to that a couple of years back. It's been helpful to us with some of the spread teams that we play. And it gives us an opportunity to, kind of highlight some of our better players, as far as, linebackers and secondary guys.
I like what I hear because I know you were different a couple years back. You changed to your personnel. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's best. I mean, your kids can do certain things, and if they can't play to their skill level, you're doing them a disservice. So we truly believe that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, you put all your eggs into one position and that guy gets hurt. Can the backup do it? If not, what do But that's great. You've changed your personality both offensively, defensively, yet the same results happen. Credit to you and your staff, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, love this part. It's called top positional groups. The Short Football Report, myself, did a lot of studies on all the teams. I broke down you guys. I hope I'm right. I'm going to just tell you what I thought or what I'm thinking about, what your strengths are, both offensively, defensively, and special teams. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong, but I haven't been wrong yet. So we'll see. All right, offensively, looking at who you got, and then I'll explain my thought process. Offensively, I think your backfield, your quarterback and running backs, and why. I know you graduated a good quarterback last year, but I know you have an outstanding athlete. Um, Jack Zawakel. I think I pronounced the name. Jack Zawakel at quarterback, running back Don Summy, senior Bow Servideo, and junior Zach Zemel. I think those guys all complement each other, and it's going to be same results at Middletown South. Would you agree?
Yeah, we feel good about the backfield. Like you said, I mean, Jake will be our quarterback. He's a headsy kid. He's a kid. He's one of those kids that you would love. You tell him once, and you don't have to tell him again. He gets it. He understands it. Yes, he'll make some mistakes, but he'll learn from the mistakes, and they won't happen again. So we're excited to have him slot into that position. He's an exciting player to watch. He had 5 interceptions on defense last year at safety. So he's got game experience, and that's important. Donovan Summey is also a returner for us. Had a solid season for us last year. He's kind of our jack of all trades. You'll see him in the backfield. You'll see him at the slot. You might even see him at quarterback from time to time. He's got the ability to do a little bit of everything. So he's exciting to watch. He's a great young man. Another very knowledgeable kid. Sponge type kid. Wants to learn. Wants to play. Has a great time doing it. Boaster videos are another guy that you'll see kind of moved around a lot. He'll be in the slot some, he'll be at a running back some. On the defensive side, he'll be playing some outside linebacker and some strong safety for us. So he's an athletic kid with some speed and not afraid to mix it up a little bit. And then you talked about Zach Zemel a little bit. Zach is, right now for us a little bit of a mystery, but a good mystery. A kid that we like, a kid that we want to see more of, and a kid that's going to get a good, ample opportunity in our scrimmages to fit himself into our offense and become an integral part of it.
Listen, when you had a couple of sophomores starting at one side of the ball, I mean, because Jack or Jay, is it Jake or Jack?
Jake.
Jake, he was starting on all. He was defense and also kicking, which we'll talk about in a second. And Don got in there for a couple
Yeah.
reps here and there. You knew that there's something special because if you could
Yeah.
squeeze in a lineup as a sophomore with your program and the level of play that you do, you're pretty good. You're pretty good. Taking us to defense. Speaking of good, you hit it right in the head. You told me about a sophomore you had last year. He's going to be really good. And boy, oh boy, did he live up to expectations last year. Your linebackers are led by Colin Gallagher, who's a junior, first team all short caliber kid. Awesome. But you hit that right in the head. Of course, you got senior Jason Wagner, junior Owen Richter, and you have this sophomore. I have a feeling he's the next big guy, just like Colin did, as Luke Waffle. Tell me about that group of guys. You always have great linebackers, and I know you're excited about these guys.
Yeah, we've been blessed with the linebacker spot. I don't know why or where that came from, but we've had some really, really great ones over the years, and this group is no different. Obviously Colin is the main, the main cog here. After the year he had last year as a sophomore, as I told you, when we met last year, he was going to be somebody to watch, and he will continue to be that. He's gotten bigger. He's even stronger than he was a year ago. He's faster than he was a year ago. He's going to be a handful, and he's fun to watch. He's another one of those kids that you would just love to coach. He's a yes sir, no sir guy, and he loves to play the game. And I'm excited just to watch him play. Next to him will be Jason Wagner, who played inside last year next to Jack Willie. So we're returning that guy who's in a familiar spot. So we feel like he's another one of those key components to our defense. Solid kid, solid player, smart kid. He's got some things going on, trying to play at the next level. You talked a little bit about Owen Richter. He's a guy that's going to play a little strong safety outside linebacker for us in that 3-4 look where he can be that hybrid player. He's a lacrosse guy, loves mixing it up. Very athletic kid. Kid that we have a lot of expectations for on both sides of the ball. You'll see him play receiver as well. And then the final guy is the guy that you talked about that we're really high on. Like I talked to you last year about Colin, is Luke Wafel. Just seeing this kid as a sophomore right now, he's impressive. Even in shorts and a t-shirt, he looks the part already. So you're going to see a lot of this kid, and I think he's going to be an impact player. He'll be a guy that probably next year, when we're on this show again, that we'll be talking about it in a good way. And in a couple of years from now, he's probably going to be a guy that's going to be playing at the next level, at a high level, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. He really does. He's a tremendous young man.
Coach, I want to apologize because I think I left off one linebacker. Kyle Smith?
Oh, we left off. Yeah,
No, I
Kyle.
left him off, not
Yeah.
you. I'm going to take the blame. I'll get the credit, but I'll take the Kyle Smith. I was in my notes. I go, he's one of the top linebackers out there. I apologize, but he's one of those guys.
Kyle's great. The great thing about Kyle is a wrestler. So
Yeah.
when we talk about tackling, like he's one of those guys. He's going to be a short tackler.
Yeah.
Good mind, good person. Awesome player.
Kyle, I'm sorry. When you watch this, I'm sorry. I'll take the blame for that. But you're on my notes, definitely, and you'll be in the player rankings, guaranteed. Coach, now for kicking game, you're talking about your program, and from the outside looking in, and I'm saying, wow, if you could start one side or just start playing in meaningful minutes, that's huge. You got a kid who's starting at quarterback, starting at defensive back, and he's one of the top kickers in the shore in Jake Zawikel. Did that kid ever get any rest? Is there water breaks involved? When everybody gets a water break, he's kicking. Tell me something. Why is the kid so special?
He's an old school guy. He's one of those guys. When we were talking earlier, off the air, like a Keyport kid, he's one of those kids. That's I was one of those guys. I didn't come off the field. The Iron Man. You played offense, you played defense, you played special teams. I didn't kick, but I was on every special team. I was either the holder, the returner. I was somebody somewhere out there. So I got the full 48 minutes in, and this kid's going to be that same thing. He's that kind of kid. When I talk about Jake, he's a competitor. That's the best part about him,
Mm-hmm.
and you want that in the spots that he's in. He's your quarterback. He wants to win. He wants what's best for our program. He's going to make good decisions. He's going to be in the right place, the right time on defense. So we're excited. That he got all that experience last year, being able to be, defense and special teams. Yeah. Now we're going to add a little bit more to his plate, and I'm sure he's more than happy to take all that in.
I bet you he practices equally in his head the same for all three: offense, defense, special teams. That's why he's going to win a game for you on probably every one of those aspects of the game for you.
Yeah, he's a pleasure. He really is. And the great part about it is we have him for 2 more years. He'll be this year and next year. So, yeah, we're excited.
Pleasure for you, not for the rest of the American division. All right, Coach, let's talk a little bit of some of the players you got coming back that's you're all excited about. Maybe top returners, maybe top newcomers. Anybody out there that I need to know?
Yeah, so I mean we're returning some guys. Obviously we with graduation we lost the likes of Jack and some of the other guys that we had last year that were tremendous players for us. Tommy Short and Jake Williamson. Latour, those guys. But excited to have Tommy White come back. At guard for us. Tyler Adonisio, both offense and defense. Played some defensive line. Played tackle for us last year on offense. So excited to have those guys back in the mix. The Parry twins, Aiden and Devin Parry, big boys, big strong boys. Aiden played a lot for us on defense, Devin on offense. So good mix coming in there from those guys as well. We're also looking at guys that are returning. We talked a little bit about Jason Wagner, at linebacker. Our corner situation, Logan Colleran may play a little safety. If one of our other younger guys steps up and can play the corner spot for us, we may move Logan into the safety spot and give us another. Him and Zwakio at the safety spots could be pretty big for us, as far as athletic kids and kids that are very knowledgeable with the game. So those guys that we're looking at playing at corner. We have a junior named Anthony Puccio, another junior named Joe Capone. Those guys are kind of mixing in right now. Both guys looking good throughout the preseason. There's another younger player, Brendan Slavin, who's in that mix as well with the corners. He'll also be a guy that you'll probably see on offense some as either a running back, maybe a slot guy. Capone, you could also see a little bit on that side of the ball also. But a lot of good things, a lot of good young players, a lot of good mix of older players, guys who have been obviously successful, and guys that are looking to create some success. So we feel good about where we are right now.
I feel pretty good too. This was a lot of information, Coach. I never wrote this much before. I'm writing notes as you're speaking. Coach, here's what I'm going to sum up for your program, and I think you're going to agree to it. Tradition never graduates.
Yeah, no doubt. we've been fortunate, so, we have kids like we're talking about right here. I mean, any one of these kids you'd love to have on your team. They do all the little things. They work hard. They come from great families. They work hard in school. They work hard outside of school. And then obviously most important, they work hard during game nights, to help us try to be successful.
It's obvious you love your players. I mean, you walk them right to the graduation, you hug them, they move on, they better themselves, and then you take care of your program. You reassess everything. It's not who we're missing; it's who we got, and let's
Right.
make it work. You change your schemes according to who you have, and the players you put in position to succeed. And they work their tails off for a bunch of assistant loyal coaches and yourself. And again, tradition never graduates. Same expectations. Who's gonna make the plays this year?
Right.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I
No, thank you. I
appreciate
appreciate
you
you doing
coming
it.
on here, Coach. This will be. I'm going to be talking to your players in a couple minutes, and
Okay.
this will be up immediately after. And best of luck to you during the season. It starts in a week, right?
Sure did. Yes, sir.
But you know what? As a head coach, you're just as excited today as you were probably 24 years ago, right?
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the first night on the hill, and obviously we'll be on the road for the first two, but looking forward to getting back into it.
I do have one question though. The nickname of your field, okay, which is a
Yeah.
swamp.
Yep.
You're in turf now. Is there
Yeah.
any is there mud? Is there puddles
So
anymore?
the great thing about the swamp was, when I first got there, it still was the swamp. We played Red Bank Regional in a state championship game in 2003 after a snowstorm, and I don't know if you remember that game or not,
I don't
but
remember.
it was ridiculous. It was so bad. It was not. I remember coming on the field for pregame, and Red Bank Regional had a couple of really good linebackers at the time, and they were trying to warm up, and they were knee deep in mud, and they were like, "What are we doing here?" And then later in the night, the fog comes in. It starts to smell a little bit. It's just a unique atmosphere. But we still get that. We don't get the mud, obviously, but the fog rolling in and the smell sometimes late at night. It still holds up to its name.
Somebody told me that you embraced the swamp.
I
You
loved it. I loved it. No. You know what the best part about it was? No one ever wanted to go there. Like not even our own teams, like our soccer teams, our field hockey teams. No one wanted to practice on it. No one wanted to play on it. We had it exclusively to ourselves, which was great. And no disrespect to anybody else, but even like visiting teams, they wanted no part of coming there. It was just a unique place to play.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's that's all I would hear. The rumors out there like the swamp. Did you ever go? No, I never played in the swamp. They go,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
Coach Nucci loves it. I'm like, really?
yeah. It
Like,
would rain like Tuesday, the week before your home game. It'd still be wet on the Friday night when you're playing the home game. It was nuts.
so rain never affected you.
No, we loved it. No, I'm one of those guys, Coach. Like we practice outside every day. I don't care if it's pouring, snowing. Unless somebody tells me I got to come in, we're come in.
Oh,
There's
wow.
lightning out there, obviously, but then we'll
Right.
come in. But if it's pouring rain or if it's snowing or whatever, we need to play in the elements. We're gonna play a game in the elements. It's going to happen. And we've played plenty of games in the elements,
Yeah.
where we got to be good, and that's how you win. You can't be a team that's not practicing in the elements and think you can go on and win a championship. It's just not going to happen.
So when it's raining at Middletown South and it's a home game, it's not even a question. We're playing.
No, we're out. And you're playing. If you're a visitor and you're playing us on a Friday night, you'll be playing. Lenny Zdanovic probably, and they beat us that night. They thumped us that night in the playoffs a couple of years back. But in the pregame, it was raining so hard. It was raining sideways. And I remember talking to Lenny before the game, and he was like, "What are we doing?" And I'm like, this is what we do, dude. Like, I'm not canceling this game. Like, if we get thumped here tonight, we get thumped. I mean, but we're ready to play in the rain.
I'm sure you get a lot of calls day of. Are we on? Yeah.
Yeah. And they know the answer. It's like, you already know the answer.
That's awesome, Coach. I appreciate it, man. Great talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you come back in the All-Shore game years and years from now with the new head coach at Middletown South. Another great story.
That would be my honor. Thank you.
All right, Coach. You be good, and best of luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to be talking with 4 Middletown South football players, and boy, they're good ones on the football field. But talking to Coach Nucci, even better ones off the field. And that's more important. You're in a great program, man. You are leaders on and off the field. and I'm going to ask you guys 5 questions that's going to help me know everything about Middletown South football. But before we go on, let me introduce you. All right? Give me a good wave when I call your name. All right? So everybody out there knows who you are. We're going to go from the left, the outstanding senior offensive guard, Tom White. Right in the middle up top, we have the outstanding senior wide receiver, senior Logan Colleran. To the top right, we have the junior outside linebacker / running back, Colin Gallagher. Yep. And down below, last but not least, the junior quarterback, safety, kicker, Jake Swackiel. Did I say right?
Close enough, Swickiel.
Close enough, man. I know how to spell it. I just can't say it, man. It took me 5 months to pronounce my wife's name too. All right, her name's Sue. So that shows my level of I'm not very smart. So listen, I know who you are. That's what counts. But guys, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Let's get right into the 5 questions and have fun with it. All right. First question I need to know at Middletown South. Who's the funniest dude on the team? I know who scored touchdowns. I know who gets the quarterback sacks. Who is the funniest dude in the football program? I need to know that. So we're going to start with you, Tom.
Owen Richter. I think everyone will agree with me on that.
The junior, the junior linebacker, huh?
Yeah, linebacker receiver. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why is he so? He's that funny.
The Perry twins are funny.
What?
The Perry twins.
Okay. Oh, the Perry
Aiden
twins.
And Devin.
Wow, the Perry twins are doing some skits there in the O-line drills, huh?
Yeah.
Right? Colin, you were laughing about when they said the name Owen during your linebacker drills. There's some jokes going on?
Yeah, he's just a funny kid. I just agree with Logan on that. He's the funniest guy on the team.
I love seeing your reaction when you mention the guy's name. It's just a bit, so some of the jokes probably aren't appropriate on the TV show, but we'll have it. How about Jake? You're in every single position group. There must be somebody else out there that's funny.
If it's not Owen, it's got to be Luigi Basagli.
The center.
Yeah.
He's
just
pretty
a funny guy.
He's funny, dude, huh?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks and center always have a weird relationship. It's funny though, but that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with joking around, guys, during the season. You need it. Number 2, who's the leader? Coach Anucci and the staff wants a message sent to the whole program. Who's sparking it out in a group email or group text or whatever you call it, TikTok, whatever you do? But who's sending out that message? What players?
I'd say outside of us 4, I think all of us are great leaders. I'd probably say Jason Wagner, linebacker. I've been playing with him since I was younger. He's really taken a step up this year. Really not even just making all the workouts, but getting everybody to like our captain's practices, making sure they're all there and holding everyone accountable. So
yeah, Tom, would you agree?
Yep, I agree 100%.
Jake?
Yeah, no, he's middle linebacker, voice of our defense. I'd say he fills out that leadership role really well.
Gallagher, is that true?
Yeah, I think it's very true, and I think on the offensive side, Swape is also a very good leader because he's the QB of the team. He's got to know what's happening at all times. So yeah,
well, he needs all his athletes there to make them look good, right? When you're going to practice, man, I got to sling the ball to Logan or hand the ball off to Subney or Gallagher. Yeah, so that's easy. Quarterbacks always want everybody at practice, but that's great, man. Having leaders like yourselves and those guys, it's very important. No wonder why you guys are always good with that. Number 3, back to normal. Back to normal. No more COVID, no more masks, no more pods. You are now had a normal offseason with Coach Nooch and the whole staff. Tell me how great it was to get back into the weight room and doing your 7-on-7s and your camp tour without any restrictions. Logan.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. We have a great strength coach and Coach Evan Ash and another guy, Kevin Higgins, that we also train with. So, together, a lot of people we play were the ones for. I know Colin's a 3-sport athlete. I know Swakill's a 2-sport athlete. He also played basketball last year. And Tom plays wrestling. So, it's great to have that lifting with a great coach like Evan Ash all the way from Manasquan.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of knowledge, and, we get some good workouts in him.
Yeah. Colin, did you go to any camps at all during the off season?
I went to one camp at Temple, but that's about it.
Was there any restrictions at all?
No, there was no restrictions at all.
Nobody wearing masks?
Nope.
Oh, that's refreshing, right?
Yeah.
Jake, did you go to any camps? Tom, I think you did, right?
Yeah, I went to a few this summer.
How was it?
That was great. Yeah, no restrictions or anything.
None at all. Great. I know Coach Anucci was talking about the weight room was really it's happening in there. How many guys do you have in there? Do you do it in waves or everybody goes in at the same time?
I'd say everyone goes in at the same time. Can get a little chaotic.
Good.
Sometimes there's like 30, 40 guys in there.
There's nothing wrong with that though, right?
No.
Awesome. Number 4. I know what the expectations are at Middletown South. Talking to Coach Anucci yesterday. Tell me what it is from your end. Your players, the door's shut. It's only the team in there. What's your expectations playing in the American Division and going through your season right now? Tom?
Yeah, I think we'll be really good. Last year we were in the Colonial, but every year, we got a tough schedule. And, our schedule is what it is. That's what Nucci keeps on saying. We've got RBC, down at the Catholic RPH. We're playing the best of the best. We're going to be in a dogfight every week, but, by the time we're going to take it 1 week at a time. By the time playoffs come around, I think we're going to be battle tested and, we're going to be ready to win a state championship.
Jake?
I agree. I think the standard of winning has been set at Middletown South, and I think that's everyone's expectation every year, just to win.
Couldn't agree more. Colin?
I think that the end goal is to obviously win a state championship, and I think we have the talent and capability to do it this year. And I think also the goal is to be the best team in the shore. So,
yeah, definitely attainable goals. Definitely. Tom?
Just going off what they said, just being the best team in the shore and winning a state championship, that's the expectation this year.
Awesome. Last thing I got to know is this. I want you to tell everybody out there why is it so special to play at Middletown South under Coach Antonucci. Tell me why. I'm on the outside. I want to hear what on the inside. Tom, why is it so special?
I'd say special because it's just a community, coming out every Friday night, having that great crowd. There's nothing like it.
Great. Jake?
I'd say we're all like a family here, It's a brotherhood. It's nothing like I've ever experienced before, and it's something that everyone should want to experience.
Yeah. Colin?
I think it's just we have such a great coaching staff. They know what they're doing, and they put us in the best possibilities to win every game, and it just helps us all around.
Yeah. Logue, you want to end it here?
Yeah, just going off what they said. I mean, we're homegrown. I've been playing with all these guys my whole life. Can't wait to end it off this year. And the end goal is to win a state championship, and I think we have a great chance of doing that.
Great. Guys, here's my take on Middletown South. I mean, me being a coach for 27 years, I always respected you guys, your program. You got it going, man. Your tradition never graduates. And I told Coach News that yesterday. You have tradition. You graduate people, but you guys are carrying the torch. Your expectations are no different than the others you had in the past, and there's no reason why you can't attain the same goals they did. Why not us? And you got that swag about you. I really like it, but you're doing it with respect. You're working your tails off, and you don't shy away from talent. You don't. So I appreciate you guys coming on the show. I'm going to wish you guys the very best. You have a lot to look forward to. Stay healthy and have fun with your teammates. All right? All right, be good, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Accucare Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine in Brick, New Jersey offers a state-of-the-art facility with all the best and current treatments. With athletic trainers, massage therapists, and doctors of physical therapy, Accucare has everything you need to stay healthy and perform at the highest level. Cupping, stretching, laser therapy, compression boots, and a full-body cryo chamber are just some of what you can expect at Accucare. Check out their website and social media links in my bio. No prescription is needed to see them. So call them today and start feeling and performing at your best. Again, thank you to Accucare for sponsoring the Shore Football Report.